Mohbad struggled in the grave. He cries for help. He cried for a help. He seeked for an aid from people. This young man seeked for people to help him out from the grave that people sent him to, because they buried him alive. Maybe for some hours after burying this guy, he resurrected in the grave. This young man rose from the grave. He opened his eyes and see that he is being buried alive. He cried inside the grave. This young man shouted but could not get any help from people. Blood were coming out of his body because of the hefty of the sand. This young man cried. He wept in the grave. But to no avail, no aid. Nobody could hear his voice, and he died finally dead. And that's why we're seeing the blood in the grave today. People are extremely wicked. Mohbad's dad should be called out for interrogation. Mohbad's dad should be called out for questioning. Only God knows the huge amount of money they must have paid this man called Mohbad's dad for him to reveal a way, or for him to concur with them to kill his own son. And that's why I say that not everybody you find out as your dad is your genuine dad. Some of these idiots are your enemies, and you should always take a DNA test to confirm whether they are truly the genuine dad of yours. You don't just find yourself in the world today and see someone who only that because he paid your school fees, or because he cares for you, he provided a shelter and all that, you started calling him a dad and give all your trust to him. See, this young man, so-called Mohbad dad, is also responsible for the people that killed his own son. I'm sorry to say this, but let the fact be spoken. This young man struggled in the grave. This man that is called Mohbad's dad, for having accepted people, for having agreed with people to bury his own son in such a haste, is an enough evidence to tell us that he is responsible, that he is also responsible for the death of his son. Mohbad could have not been dead by this time around. Mohbad would have not been a dead man. Mohbad would have not been a deceased if he had been allowed to stay for some minutes or for some hours. Because this young man, they just poisoned him. He collapsed. He didn't die immediately. He did not die totally. But you know, when someone is poisoned or when someone just collapsed, the person will be just unconscious, and he wouldn't even know what is happening to the world again. They deposited this man in the corpse and buried him alive for some hours. It's only God knows how many minutes it takes for Mohbad to resurrect, to open up his eyes in the grave and realize that he's been buried alive. It's only God that knows how this guy cried in the grave. Inside the grave, they sent him before dying totally. And that's why you are seeing all this blood. The blood just gushed out of his body when he could not get any help. He shouted, he cried in the grave. No one could afford an aid to him, because in the grave, when you are shouting, no one will even hear your voice anymore. His body was exhumed yesterday for an autopsy. And during the exhumation, during that time, when the police removed the corpse from the grave, we noticed that there was a fresh blood that gushed out of Mohbad's body after being buried for 7 days ago. As I'm doing the video, I'm weeping inside my mind, inside my heart. My heart is just bleeding. I'm so sorry, guys.